I want to introduce you to someone who's worked in healthcare and knows and understands healthcare, who's also running for Lieutenant Governor. Judy Baker, how you doing?
Hey, Kenny, nice to be here.
It's glad to have you in the office here. One, what did you think? You had intimate dealings with the Healthcare Act. You even went around Missouri trying to explain it to people a little bit, and you found a lot of people just didn't understand what was in the act.
Exactly. I actually spent 2 years. I was the president's appointee for Health and Human Services. And for 2 years, I had the privilege of going around and making sure that people brought down the benefits of this new law. And when, there was a lot of misinformation out there about this law. And when people really heard about what was actually in there, they said, well, why don't we know all this? Why don't we know all this? So we worked really hard to try and get that word out. Sometimes it fell on deaf ears and people just wouldn't believe because it had been so maligned and so many lies about it. But now I think with the Supreme Court decision in the past, we can move forward. And frankly, Americans want to move forward. Missourians want to move forward. We have a health care law that is now a framework for moving forward. It's not perfect. I'll be the first one to tell you it's not perfect. No. But we need to, and this is what people are saying, let's go forward with what's good in it and let's fix what's not. But this is the framework for lowering cost of healthcare and raising the quality of healthcare. And
letting those who would slip through the healthcare system, like pre-existing conditions, giving them a fighting chance to get back to them. That's like millions of Americans have pre-existing condition. I have one. I'm overweight and I have allergies, really bad allergies. And any insurance company could take a little screen of my skin and say, oh, no, we wouldn't give you, you're going to be a disaster in a few years because your allergies are so bad. I wish we could put numbers to how many lives this has saved. No one's really done that yet. It's probably ultimately knowable, but probably difficult to get at. But I have been in those rooms when a senior came forward to me after a presentation and said, I credit Obamacare, and I'm all right with saying that. I think that Obama does care. I'm all right with saying it now that it's winning. Now that we won, yeah. Well, they would say it. I think Obamacare saved my life. I mean, they would say, I got a preventive colonoscopy. I found disease early. They were able to treat it. And my doctor says it saved my life to be able to get that free, colonoscopy. There's mammograms, there's diabetic testing strips. There's all kinds of ways for our seniors, especially to stay healthy, catch disease early before it becomes too expensive. And let me tell you a great story. This is my favorite. And it's one story, but it's one of many times that this happened. It happened actually just right outside St. Louis. I was at a senior center. This was about 6 months ago or 8 months ago, and I gave a whole presentation on what the Affordable Care Act does this, and it does, and you can get these benefits, and this is all the new stuff in the Affordable Care Act. And when I finished, I went to questions, and the gentleman in the front row at the senior center raised his hand, and he said, Director Baker, what you just laid out for us in this 45 minutes is exactly what we should be doing with the healthcare system. This is exactly what we should be doing, is what he said. And he said, so, Director Baker, tell me what's going to happen when Obamacare kicks in. Wow. And I said, with a lot of respect, I said, sir, you will lose all of what I just said if Obamacare gets overturned. Right. And so, you have to bridge that divide between what people think they know about Obamacare and what is actually in the bill. And you mentioned some of it, the ability for people with pre-existing conditions not to be left behind. And so many have been. I mean, if you look at the uninsured, who are they? They're people in small businesses. Young adults. It's seniors in their preventive care. Mm-hmm. It's people with pre-existing conditions. It's early retirees. Say I'm a spouse of a person who goes to Medicare, all of a sudden turns 65, and I'm the trailing spouse. All of a sudden, I'm 60-some years old and having to buy on the open market. Well, guess what? I probably have a pre-existing condition. Right. Yeah, a lot. And another thing, I think one thing that a lot of Republicans needed to do against this bill, they didn't like it because it was put up by a Democratic president. Some of them actually do like it. They just can't say it because their party keeps saying our talking point is not to like it. But the talking point come against the anti-healthcare movement people is that they must get you to hate the bill before Americans really learn to love it. Not all the provisions have even kicked in. Some of them happened in 2014. And there's one part of it that I know they really don't want Americans to think about. 12.8 million Americans will benefit from rebates because their insurance companies spent too much of their premium dollars on administrative costs and CEO bonuses.
That's exactly right. I'm so glad you brought that up, because I was going to bring that up if you didn't. $1.1 billion is about to flow this month to individuals and businesses as rebates because their insurance companies spent too much money on administrative, pushing paper around instead of doing medical care.
That helps the whole economy.
Yeah, if this gets repealed, we lose that.
We lose that money.
Right.
If they repeal, and they keep saying repeal and replace, but I haven't seen a plan of replacement.
Yeah,
I've only heard repeal, #repeal is all I've heard over and over again. And, John Boehner can cry all the crocodile tears he wants. That doesn't give us a plan just to yell repeal. I think they have to sell this as something you don't know about. So people start saying, well, I don't like it because I've been told 50 times I didn't like it. The truth is, once these provisions kick in, I think a lot of people are really going to like the Affordable Health Care Act. And I know you have a passion, it seems, really for helping seniors.
Yes, I do.
And
have for a long time.
What does that bring to Lieutenant Governor? It's part of the Lieutenant Governor's role, isn't it?
A whole country is judged by how they treat their seniors.
I agree with that.
I
have a 105-year-old grandmother, and when I visit her in Texas, she's struggling on. She's walking. She lives with her younger sister that's 101. They drive around Tyler, Texas, and do everything like that, and it's just... I hope I have those genes. They are the strong matriarch women that raised me, that helped me become who I am. And to think that an insurance company would try and push them aside or drop them because she's 105, she has 105 years of pre-existing condition. I mean, to think that they would drop my grandmother is not only abrasive to me, but it would really make me angry. It would really make me angry because they're playing economic games with people's lives. The Affordable Health Care Act is trying to put more control in the lives of people about their own health.
That's exactly right. And a lot of people don't know that. This gives us these tools to have more control. And just to get back to seniors, specifically, while I was with the department, I went around to countless senior centers and visited with seniors and all of the folks that run those senior centers and just asked them, what is it we need to be doing? And as Lieutenant Governor, of course, we sit on several commissions that have to do with seniors' independence and their ability to transition back to communities, say after a hospital visit or so on, to the most independent setting that they can live in. But there's not enough community supports for that yet. So we were looking at how the senior centers could be used more effectively and have some more resources and better articulation actually with those hospitals. So when a patient is being transitioned back into a community, how can we make sure that those community supports end up in a place where they can be used, whether it's help with getting their pharmacy prescription filled and making sure that happens, or whether it's some visits to the home to make sure that there's fall prevention. One of the biggest things that happens is that when a person leaves a hospital, they end up going back because they were a little unsteady and didn't have some
or
simple
secondary
instructions.
Infections. Yeah.
Right, or secondary infections. And there's actually a patient safety initiative that the secretary initiated that signed up hospitals and nursing homes all over the country to make a commitment to lower the infection rates after being in hospitals.
Secondary infection rates, that's a big issue.
It's huge.
I know a guy who's he just got a patent for this machine to help fix hospitals up, to clean all their equipment so there are less secondary infections.
That's right.
Secondary infections is so huge in healthcare. It costs the United States so much money because hospitals have a lot of infections in them.
Right.
If you don't get those infections cleaned up and get away and keep people in and out in a nice time. And also, under our past healthcare system, people would wait too long to use those services, especially seniors on a budget. They would sit around and say, oh, I know my knee hurts a little bit or I have this problem, but I don't have a lot of money. I'm a senior. I'm on a budget. I'm barely got my medication and food. How can I go in for more services when I'm barely affording the service I have?
That's even the same with young Americans. You're fresh out of college and, you're trying to get a job and, you no longer have, you can't just go to college services
You
anymore.
are young Americans.
I know. I'm going through this.
Yeah,
I'm just sitting here angry, pounding my fist, because it affects us and it's serious. It's very serious.
Well, for young adults, the Affordable Care Act, a.k.a. Obamacare, one of the greatest provisions that's incredibly popular is that that students can stay on their parents' plan until they're 26, which means they have time to find that good job that offers them health insurance.
And they can strategize post-college with their family now.
Yeah.
Instead of all
just been thrown out to the sharks.
Yeah,
right.
Go take care of yourself. You're young. I mean, that's not fair because a lot of young people do have health issues, pre-existing conditions, all sorts of things.
I think one thing that people don't know, and this statistic isn't out there a lot, because, a lot of people want to say, the uninsured, they should have to work for it, or they should, it's a personal responsibility thing. Well, I say, yes, indeed, it is, actually. I agree with that. But what they don't know is that the 80% of the uninsured, and this is true in Missouri and nationwide as a statistic, 80% of the uninsured are working.
Wow.
Correct.
Working.
Wow.
They may be young adults. They may be these early retirees. It's the trailing spouse. It may be someone with a pre-existing condition, but they are
80%?
working.
80%? That's a lot of people working and not getting services they need to keep themselves healthy and alive.
That's correct.
That is really that makes me a little bit sad. But what also makes me sad is I see Missouri as a state really trying to handle some problems. I see our governor saying things like, we're going to make sure we pay those workers in Joplin that did that kind of disaster control. I see us trying to do this real progress, but then I see an opposition, and I think about our current lieutenant governor, Peter Kinder, who said he wasted all this money and effort on this litigious fantasy football, which turns out the Supreme Court even said, hey, this is constitutional. Right. So now we've wasted all this money trying to say it's unconstitutional. I don't think he's going to apologize and say, sorry, Missouri, for that fantasy. But
it's all politics all the time.
That's a shame.
It really is.
That's a shame.
I mean, it's a frivolous lawsuits. If you spend all your time on these frivolous lawsuits and not time on making a real plan that really helps people, then all you can do is say, well, then that was just political right. Before people all the time.
And having contempt prior to investigation of a law that they know little about. They just know it was put up by Democrats, so they wanted to yell about it. Now, the truth is the law truly does help people. But that's just one aspect of your understanding of healthcare. And so what I want you to do a little bit is tell us, you've had a role in healthcare, and even from your father working in the military and stuff right. like that. You've seen veterans and their healthcare needs. Is it not the most important time now to take care of these veterans coming back from these wars? Right. We have traumatic brain injury. We have all sorts of things. And we're talking about Missouri veterans, people from St. Louis that went to fight for my freedom. And now we're not giving them health care and needs like that. This all is changing now. And that's what you want to be a part of, changing to serve veterans better.
Right. And while we've lost some of our soldiers tragically, many of them are surviving. We have a really high survival rate, which means they come back to our communities in need of some, ongoing health care. And so we have the physical health that we need to take care of. And sometimes it's in rural communities. Sometimes it's in urban underserved communities that they're coming home to. Mm-hmm. And I want to make sure that they get care as close to home as possible. They don't have to travel very far to get the care that we owe them.
You know what? That's a great idea. I would hate for a soldier from like Iron County, Missouri, to have to drive all the way up to Barnes Hospital to see the mental health expert on post-traumatic stress or something like that. That trip alone is a lot to ask for someone who did so much for us. If he's in Iron County is not really one of the most affluential counties in Missouri. So he might have to drive all the way to Barnes Hospital in St. Louis. And I don't know if he would would do that. I don't know if that veteran would do that.
Well, we've got some really structural things that we need to work on. Whenever I talk with veterans, I mean, there's lots of ideas out there that just haven't totally percolated yet. And I, as a lieutenant governor who says we'll sit on those commissions, I think that I am uniquely qualified, having been in the healthcare system, the delivery side of it, to be able to help people understand about how we can make all of our connections make more sense,
right?
Especially for our veterans.
A more logical grid of service, with the paradigm of we need to serve these veterans. They've already done their work,
right?
They went to places I can't imagine what some of them have been through. And I had a friend. Unfortunately, he did not get the mental help he needed. He had post-traumatic stress. He committed suicide later on, and that's happening too much. And that's my friend Jason Mattis. Rest in peace, my brother. It's a sad story that I never want to see happen again. I want these veterans to get a lot of them need mental health. It's just there. When you're in war, that's just traumatic stress.
Right. A lot of it's just making connections back where they come home to.
Yeah, and the community reabsorbing
in the place
these people.
Where
you have to shut all that off. Going off into war and seeing death and seeing some things you just cannot imagine.
The grace of God, go high.
Yes.
I mean, I'm glad that they did it to serve me. I'm glad I didn't have to do it. So I really want to take care of those people who did do that great service in horrible conditions.
I agree.
Now, the Republicans are really going to say it's all about jobs. It's all about jobs. So they're going to ask it is. This is a economy, we need jobs. But there's something they can't hit you with because you've actually met payrolls before on jobs. You understand business. So they can't really say that you don't have that experience.
Yeah, I've run multi-million-dollar budgets and met payroll. If that's what they want to hear, then let's check that box.
Yeah,
I'm a Democrat who's done that. As I know lots of Democrats who.
I know most Democrats have been making better payroll than there's a man running for Senate on the Republican side that seems to have all sorts of payroll issues and paying back money and stuff like that. So I would ask anybody who's pro-business to take another look at the Democrats and
how
say,
how things
they've ran businesses. Tell us a little bit about
typically better. If you look at all of the business indicators under Democrats, the Americans have fared quite well.
Mm-hmm.
This president was handed a pretty rough slate right at the very beginning.
It wasn't it wasn't a good ground to start off on.
And we're making progress. Well, let me talk a little bit about one of the best emerging markets for jobs is healthcare. So, I hate to bring it all back to healthcare again, but
it's a reality. Healthcare is a great emerging job market.
And actually, St. Louis is what we'd call an exporter, so to speak, not of jobs, but of healthcare. So people from outside our borders come here for healthcare, which is, money brought in, which enlarges the pie. Mm-hmm. Whenever you're talking about economics, and I've taught economics at the college level, you have to, it doesn't matter how much you move the money around within the pie. If it's the same amount of money and you're just moving it around about who gets it,
true.
You have to enlarge the pie. That's what we've got to do here in Missouri. And, the emerging healthcare market here is one of those ways to do it. Now, it's in danger if the opponents of the healthcare law want to decide not to do the Medicaid expansion, guess how much money that is? You probably know, Kenny,
no,
don't you?
I don't know.
I'm guessing. All right. So I'm going to give you this number. You remember it and tell it to everyone you know, and your listeners need to too. $8.5 billion with a B dollars will be forfeited if they don't expand the Medicaid. And guess what?
$8.5 billion will be forfeited if they don't expand Medicaid over 5 years.
So that's over $1.5 billion every year. That's tens of thousands of jobs over those 5 years.
Yes.
So, when if we want to talk economics, let's talk economics and talk about how we use that kind of money to improve our emerging healthcare market here in Missouri. And this is what's crazy about it, Kenny, is if we leave that money on the table and we forfeit that $8.5 billion, guess what? The people that we're talking about that would have gotten healthcare with that money are still going to be sick, and we will have no revenue stream.
That's a good point.
People don't stop getting sick and injured just because you don't have a insurance payment for that.
And viruses and diseases don't follow political policy.
So we're going to have to essentially find the $8 billion ourselves to cover the already sick when, in fact,
we don't have it. The state does not have extra $8 billion laying around.
Point, Kenny. See, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, we don't have it. I know. I mean, you're talking about there's no way we can just find an extra $1 billion unless Mitt Romney's attorney drops his wallet. And
Missourians would have been paying in the taxes and not getting them back.
Yeah.
In that $8.5 billion over the 5 years.
That's a great point you bring up. We need to be really on this, and maybe my listeners need to send some emails to their local elected officials and say, make sure you still support getting this $8 billion into the Missouri system to help.
And I'm just saying, don't make a determination yet. Think this through. And if you think this through, forfeiting that money would be very irresponsible for any legislator or statewide leader to sign on to.
So, Judy, let's learn a little bit about you. You're not a newcomer to politics. You've been in Jeff City before. You ran for Congress. You had a father that was in the military, and that profoundly affected you through your life. Yes. So tell the listeners a little bit about you and why you have this vision of doing something good for Missouri in the lieutenant governor's office.
Well, my parents taught me about public service from the time I was small. Dad was 20 years in the military as a doctor. He helped put Vietnam vets back together when they came home. And my mother was a public school teacher, and public service was the highest calling, you know. I ended up, a lot of your listeners may not know this about me, but I have a seminary degree as well. Mm-hmm. So, I had this call to serve in a ministry as well, and didn't end up doing that, and kind of turned my focus then to healthcare as my quote unquote mission in life. So I
can see that transition. I can still say heal people. That's all the same transition. Yeah.
It's the way I work out my mission in life. Mm-hmm. And so that, that all of that profoundly affected me, and it really speaks toward an authentic service mentality that I have, which you won't find in a whole lot of politicians, to be honest. And I think that's why people are excited about the freshness of my candidacy.
Well, I'd say I've met many politicians. I've seen some that want to use the office as a stepping stone, and I've seen others that truly care about what they could do with the office. And you've always read to me as someone who really actually cares and wants to actually serve the people. You're one of the few candidates that I actually have actual plans up on your website.
Right.
And actual, information where I can learn about you instead of just, hey, here's a picture with me with the quadricorn.
You are listening to a rebroadcast of a program that has previously aired as a part of WGNU's St. Louis Urban Forum. Our listener response lines are currently closed. Please consult www.wgnu920am.com for our complete schedule of programs. Make sure to tune in, call in, and be a part of the radio station that is working to improve our great city. We thank you for tuning in to WGNU's St. Louis Urban Forum on 920 AM.
Something like that. I do like that about your candidacy.
My three catchwords are service, leadership, and solutions. I mean, in the end, you've got to have practical solutions, as a public servant. You've got to get there and actually have a new idea, a new way of doing things is better than what we've done before. And I'm committed to that. Mm-hmm. I'm very much committed to that. And if we don't end up not being able to do much good, I'll move on and do something else in in another sector.
So you served in Missouri House for how long?
I was there for 2 terms, and I was ranking member of the Mental Health and Social Services Committee. I was ranking member of the Education Committee and ranking member of the Budget Committee in my last year.
So as a lieutenant governor, you could kind of hit the ground running. You already know Jeff City. Yes. You know the policies, and really the rules and regulations. That's a hard thing. If people don't know the rules and regulations, you can't get started in Jeff City.
Right. And the way to get things done, how you build coalitions of folks that want to get something done, how you find them. And frankly, I think there's opportunity there, especially in the Senate where the lieutenant governor would be working. There's bridges we can build with the senators on both sides of the aisle who want to do something new and different for the state of Missouri. I hope we can find those folks.
WGNU 920 AM. Stay tuned. This is the Murdock Report.
There's a food fight in California that all of us should join. I'll tell you about it today on Hightower Radio. Food fight, everyone! Let's all join the fun. Actually, this is neither fun nor a fight that America's consumers and organic food producers wanted to be in. But we've been forced into it by a cabal of corporate profiteers and their government enablers. For 20 years, they've plotted to hurl fields full of spoiled food at us, including corn, soybeans, cereals, bread, and snacks. These foods have been spoiled by corporate geneticists rejiggering the very DNA of our foodstuffs. They've taken genes from other species, including animals and bacteria, and artificially slipped the foreign material into nature's own healthy products. The industry asserts that these genetically engineered crops increase farm yields and make food cheaper. But in fact, GE yields are down and grocery prices are up. The real purpose of DNA engineering has simply been to create plants that absorb more pesticides. Excuse me, but if these tampered products are so great, why are the big food manufacturers who use them not bragging about that wonderful fact to shoppers? They should be running ads shouting, "Hey, we've got GEs in here." Instead, they've conspired behind closed doors with lawmakers and regulators to keep consumers in the dark about any GE ingredients inside the products. This is Jim Hightower saying, this brings us to the big food fight. A coalition of consumers, organic advocates, nutritionists, and others have successfully put the Right to Know Genetically Engineered Food initiative on California's November election ballot. It would require food from GE crops to be labeled as such. Spooked by the very thought of consumer disclosure, an array of corporate giants are now flooding money and lies into the state to defeat the people's fundamental right to know what's in their food. To join the fight for honesty, go to carightoknow.org.
What do the corporate powers from Wall Street to Walmart have in common? They hate the Hightower Lowdown. You can see why at www.hightowerlowdown.org.
William C. Harris Funeral Directors and Cremation Service is a full-service funeral home. Hi, I'm William C. Harris, Jr., Chief Executive Officer. Our staff members are highly trained professionals that are ready and competent to assist you and your family when the time arises to make funeral arrangements for a loved one. We offer complete funeral services, cremation choices, spacious banquet facilities for the repast, an in-house florist, service personalization, and complimentary dove release. William C. Harris Funeral Directors and Cremation Service. We're located at 9825 Halls Ferry Road. Call 314-868-9500. That's 314-868-9500. Or you may visit us at www.wcharrisfd.com. William C. Harris Funeral Directors and Cremation Service, 9825 Halls Ferry Road, where service is an unforgettable memory, one family at a time. This is William C. Harris, Jr., and thank you.
Bones and mighty fine for skipping stones, you feel fresh.
WGNU 920 AM. This PSA is brought to you by the beautiful women of Gamma Omega Chapter of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. Terry Bascom, President. Recycle and reuse. What can you do? Make sure to eat plenty of apples, green or red, that are healthy items for you to healthy items for you to get your fiber. Planting the seeds will also help grow trees and provide plenty of oxygen for us humans too. Pardon me, guys. I'm so sorry today. Recycle and reuse as many items as you can. Put a bucket in your yard to catch the rainwater. Use this water to water your plants. Share your unwanted clothes with those that are less fortunate. The ladies of Gamma Omega Chapter are collecting shoes to redistribute. Look for those clothes and also shoes to give away to many churches that also can use them for distribution. Recycle your aluminum cans and newspaper. There are many places in St. Louis to drop off and recycle these items. Again, this PSA is brought to you by the beautiful women of Gamma Omega Chapter of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated.
I like the way they make the transition between eating healthy for yourself and doing healthy things for the environment.
Right.
And how the both can be together. You can do healthy things for yourself that are also healthy for the environment. Yeah.
All righty. Well, I hope you guys are ready. This is Miss Cannon for your entertainment news, and we have first things first. R.I.P. to the late and great Mr. Andy Griffin.
Of a better way to pass the time.
Is that Andy Griffin?
It is from the show. From the show. So he was 86 years old. It has not been disclosed, actually, his reason for his death, but I mean, RP.
That show all the time.
And Matlock. I used to love Matlock.
How old are you actually?
69 on the inside.
69 on the inside.
Yes, I used to love that show. So, condolences go out to the family.
Definitely.
And you'll be in our prayers, okay? Next things next, we have Katie Holmes and Tom Cruise getting a divorce. 5.5 years of marriage. Sorry to hear about this. But Katie has recently come out and said that she thinks that the religion of Scientology, they're coming after her.
Dun, dun, dun.
Saying that she's...
I hope not. I hope they just let her... I mean, it's a relationship. You never know what happened really behind the scene. Tom Cruise had an airtight prenup, I bet.
Oh, I was going to discuss that. Look at you. Good segue. She's not getting much, but what she came in with, she signed in the prenup. You get what you came in with.
Wow.
Good luck, Katie. Honey, go to California. I hope you guys got married there. Maybe get a little bit more. But yeah, she's supposed to come in with
when I asked my wife if she wanted a prenup, she says, "I have a sword."
Oh, well,
So
I guess that's all that's needed.
All the prenup I was
that you were ever going to need.
Ever going to get.
But yeah, I hope that this doesn't get messy. But she wants sole custody of their daughter Suri. So hopefully this doesn't get too messy, guys. Let's just, again, this is another prayer. I hate when couples break up. There's been a lot of Hollywood couples breaking up this year, but unfortunately, they have bit the dust. Sorry to hear that, okay? Next thing's next. Jada Pinkett Smith is standing up for human trafficking. It is very serious. It has been going on for years, and it's kind of like a silent killer. No one's really talking about it.
Standing against human trafficking?
Right.
Standing up to.
Yeah. Well, yeah. She just came out with a song called Nada Se Compara. It's Salma Hayek she directed the.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, she directed the video, and it's great. It just shows you know how easily it can happen, and it's normally someone that you know, and it's affected over 20 million people. So this is serious. This is serious.
I had no idea human trafficking affected over 20 million people.
Yes.
That's sad.
And they normally start as early as the age of 11 years old. People, yeah. So it is serious, guys. So just be aware. And if you're able to check it out on YouTube, please check it out. Okay. That's Jada Pinkett Smith standing up against human trafficking. And also too, we have Lauryn Hill pleads guilty to her tax woes. She did not claim for 3 years of her taxes, saying that she did not have, basically any room to record and to put out new music and to have free self-expression. So she faces 3 years jail time with a huge penalty.
Wow.
Yes.
You got to pay the tax. I mean,
that's the first thing you should do.
Wow.
I don't understand why celebrities just don't understand. The millions of dollars you get, you're in a different bracket. They want their money. Don't play with Uncle Sam. Don't do it. It's not worth it.
I fought the law and the law won. That's how it goes.
That is a very true statement, guys. I just hate to hear it, but we're going to get in these celebrity birthdays. Montel Williams is 56 years old.
Oh.
Yeah, he's coming along. And happy birthday, but not so happy, to Tom Cruise, who's 50.
Oh,
the big 5-0, and I'm sorry it's on such bad
Sorry you get this news on your 50th birthday.
Right, just not okay, guys. Make sure you check out Michaela Cannon on Facebook and at MSCANN3 at Twitter. This is Miss Cannon with your entertainment news.
Hey, we're having a lot of fun this hour with Judy Baker for Lieutenant Governor. And Judy Baker is no new person to politics. She's been telling us a little bit about her candidacy, but you can also learn a lot more about her at, what's your website, judybaker.com?
www.judybakerformissouri.com, and that's all spelled out.
Yeah, and you can contribute money, you can send emails, you can do all that stuff that you can do on political campaign websites. But one good thing about it is, unlike other political campaign websites, you can really get some information about her. And I know the campaign. If you email them, they'll get back in touch with you.
Yeah, we've gotten back with everybody, I believe.
And that's kind of important for your campaign. That's
the
difference between those big kind of stay away campaigns. You know, something that's going to interest me, you know, about running campaigns, is that for the first time on the just the presidential level, we have so much money outside of either political party that is going to influence this election. It's almost astonishing.
It's obscene.
It is completely obscene. Millions and billions of dollars.
Distorted our democracy.
Yes.
I understand the freedom of speech issue, but why should one person or one corporation or one board of a corporation have more say or more freedom of speech than others by exponential amounts? And that has to be the issue. You know, in Missouri, Missourians voted not too long ago to have campaign limits, and the Republican legislature took off those campaign limits.
Took off the campaign limits, yep.
This is a huge issue that we have got to deal with because people can buy campaigns, they can buy politicians, and, you know, the average person loses their voice completely when that happens.
If a billionaire like Sheldon Adelson says, I'm going to spend $400 million on you, you know that person is persuasive to you for the rest of your life.
Right. You're going to owe them something.
No one gives you $400 million for nothing.
Right.
That's not an investment. Few people on earth have $400 million, much less. Yeah, think of it this way. Sheldon Adelson is going to give $400 million to Mitt Romney, he says. There are 350 million Americans.
Right.
So he's going to give him $1 for every person.
Right.
That's a lot of persuasion. And another thing that I think you know from campaigns, when you're so outspent, they can buy up your ad time before you can even purchase your ad time. And that is so hard on a campaign to overcome from.
Right.
That's why we need to get our voices behind those people we know are good people in office, because they might not even get the money versus the people we know aren't good people trying to get the office.
And so often they're using the money to distort someone's reputation,
attacks.
It's not positive. It's not a positive influence on our society. It's not talking about our real problems. It's not talking about the solutions for our seniors or the solutions for our kids in schools. It's not, we've been debating for a decade about what to do with our kids in schools without actually talking about what's happening in the classroom, the interaction between students and teachers, and our ability to support the teachers the way they need to be supported, to have
made my mama smile.
A good classroom experience.
I know my mom is listening. You just made my mama smile. She's been a teacher for a long time. And, being the daughter of a teacher, myself being the son of a teacher, you really understand what teachers go through with huge classroom sizes and little budgets.
Right.
WGNU 920 AM. Stay tuned. This is still the Murdock Report.
William C. Harris Funeral Directors and Cremation Service is family-owned and operated. We understand when the time comes to make arrangements for their special loved one, it can be truly difficult. This is Tiara Harris. My family and I and our staff are here to give you and your loved ones the attention that you deserve in your time of need. At William C. Harris, our highly trained staff will save you precious time. We offer complete funeral services, an in-house florist, a beautiful spacious banquet room, catering service, and complimentary dove release. William C. Harris, Funeral Directors and Cremation Service, 9825 Hallsbury Road, where service is an unforgettable memory, one family at a time. Call 314-868-9500. That's 314-868-9500. Or visit us at wcharrisfd.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States of America.
Hi, everybody. I'm here in Colorado Springs, visiting some of the devastating fires that have been taking place over the last several days. As many of you have been watching on television, entire communities are under threat, and we had a chance to tour some of the devastation that has been taking place in some of the subdivisions here. Firefighters are working 18 hours a day, around the clock, trying to make sure that they get this blaze under control. We've got volunteers who are out here who are making sure that these firefighters have the food and the water and all the resources that they need. And we've been engaging in some unprecedented coordination between federal, state, and local communities to try to bring this fire under control. And one of the things I've done here, in addition to saying thank you to these firefighters, is to let them know that all of America has their back. One of the things that happens, whether it's a fire here in Colorado or a tornado in Alabama or Missouri or a flood or a hurricane in Florida, one of the things that happens here in America is that when we see our fellow citizens in trouble and having difficulty, we come together as one American family, as one community. And you see that spirit and you see that strength here in Colorado Springs, where people are working together, promising each other to rebuild. We've got to make sure that we are there with them every step of the way, even after this fire is put out. So for those of you who can provide some help, you should get on the online site of American Red Cross. They're very active in this community, and you can make your contributions there. We're going to continue to make sure that the Federal Emergency Management Agency, the Forest Service, our military, and National Guard, and all the resources that we have available at the federal level are brought to bear in fighting this fire. This is a good reminder of what makes us Americans. We don't just look out for ourselves. We look out for each other. And one of the things that I told these firefighters is that we can provide them all the resources they need, but only they provide the courage and the discipline to be able to actually fight these fires. And it's important that we appreciate what they do, not just when our own communities are struck by disaster. It's important that we remember what they do each and every single day, and that we continue to provide support to our first responders, our emergency management folks, our firefighters, our military, everybody who helps secure our liberty and our security each and every day. So, America, I hope you guys remember the folks during these times of need. I know this is a little bit unusual. We don't usually do weekly addresses like this, but I thought it was a good opportunity for us to actually focus attention on a problem that's going on here in Colorado Springs. We never know when it might be our community that's threatened, and it's important that we're there for them. All right? Thank you very much.
WGNU 920 AM. This is the Murdock Report. We're having a good time with Judy Baker for Lieutenant Governor on, and we're talking about a bunch of different things, really her candidacy, but her vision for healthcare and how she can truly understand the healthcare system, and how you need someone who understands that healthcare system in the role of Lieutenant Governor, because we really have a lot of changes that system is going to be making, which is going to affect seniors, veterans, youth, children, everyone around. So, Judy, something I wanted to ask you, like we just talked a minute about how much money is in politics, and you have made some mention of how much money is in healthcare. Isn't it crucially important that you have a lieutenant governor that can watch that healthcare dollar to make sure it goes to your constitutional need to protect seniors? Not need, it's written out in the Constitution. The lieutenant governor is the ombudsman to protect seniors. So you need someone in that role who can really protect seniors by watching the budget.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. And since I have been in the in these kind of service delivery for almost 30 years, I know I don't look that old.
And your business background, you know how to watch a budget.
My business and my economic background and so on, we will be able to squeeze more money out of each dollar, which is important to stretch that dollar, because we do have challenges. We have the baby boomers aging into the system. So there's special concerns we've got to have as we go forward to make sure that we use every single healthcare dollar efficiently. One of the things that a lot of folks don't know that has happened in this administration is the fighting of fraud within our public system, the Medicare and Medicaid. Under Secretary Sebelius, we actually returned $4 billion, that's with a B, $4 billion last year, 2011, to the Medicare Trust Fund.
Wow.
And it reflects about a 70% increase in this administration.
Wow.
So every healthcare dollar that's saved in fraud is redirected to healthcare that makes people more healthy and saves lives. And, because there's been so much rancor around the healthcare bill in particular, there hasn't been a lot of talk about a lot of the good things that have happened. I mentioned the patient safety initiative that is requiring hospitals to make a commitment to lower infection rates and to lower the readmission rates, which will save billions of dollars per year as well that can be redirected to other care that saves lives. So these are all the important things that we have yet to talk about. Another one is the Elder Abuse Act is in the within the Affordable Care Act as well.
That's very important too.
Absolutely, especially for our seniors. Seniors become a very vulnerable population as they age and become frail, and can be taken advantage of relatively easily. And so, unless you have some real good legal structures in place to protect them, they become more and more vulnerable. And so, the Elder Abuse Act increases the background checks and the penalties for people who would take advantage of our seniors. And these are the kinds of things that I know intimately. I know both in the new law, and I know having worked with the healthcare system for the last 30 years. So when I sit on those commissions come next January, we're going to be able to move forward very quickly with some new and innovative ideas. I served 4 states in Central America. I served Iowa, Nebraska, Kansas, and Missouri, and I saw some new and innovative things that are happening in other places.
And you can bring some of that
we need
back
to bring
to Missouri.
Here.
That's
Exactly.
a good idea. Yeah, because they might have some tailoring to healthcare in Iowa that would work for our system here, but we just don't know about it.
Right. Just trying to just do some new things that make our system more efficient, that raises the quality of life and the quality of healthcare delivered while lowering the cost. Within the healthcare bill, there's also numerous sections that deal with care coordination and patient safety. That have been already implemented. We just don't talk about them a lot. They're probably not, quote unquote, sexy enough to talk about.
Oh, my audience is kind of crazy. They like that stuff. I mean, I think those the small print is always where the real things happen.
Right.
And I think one thing that's also important about your lieutenant governor candidacy is that You've worked in Jeff City before, so you know what it takes to cross the aisle in Missouri.
That's right. I'm actually really good at helping to cross the aisle because, I'm not one who just hurls insults at people. I respect people's opinion. School helped with that a little bit. Yeah, probably. I have a tendency to respect people's opinion and then use powers of persuasion and actual data and asking all the right questions and framing things in the way that they need to be framed in order for us to make responsible decisions. And I'm respected for that. And we'll bring that also to the Senate when I'm Lieutenant Governor.
Thank you very much. You can look up Judy Baker from Missouri at her website. Once again, your website is Judy Baker. Is it judybaker.com? Judy Baker from Missouri.
Judy Baker for Missouri, all spelled out, .com.
All right.
BakerForMissouri.com.
Thanks for being
on. I have to mention we are also on Facebook and Twitter.
Oh, that's right. Twitter. You have to. Twitter's the big thing. So
I'm learning.
So people can definitely find you on Facebook and Twitter. They can go and email your campaign through the website. In short, you're not hiding. You're very much going to be able to be contacted and in touch. And if people find out your campaign headquarters and stop by, there's volunteer opportunities and there's canvassing opportunities and things like that, right?
That's correct. We'd be glad to have anyone sign up as a volunteer. We'll get them engaged.
Yeah, get your family involved. Teach the youth about politics.
We've got 5 weeks, guys.
5 weeks and it's coming down. Get involved. WGNU 920 AM.